Hello, welcome to RU News. I am Rodney Thule.
And I am Santa Solomon.
And here are today's headlines. Happy News era from December 21st as government implements No Vaccine, No Services campaign.
Survival for the fittest as Kenya's entrepreneurs cope with the COVID-19 and the new norm.
Hope for brighter days as filmmakers rescue victims of a wrongful conviction 5 decades later.
Bonjour vibes in Riara University as the International Relations Department hosts French Day in the institution.
Corruption and mayhem dribbling once again in the corridors of Football Kenya Federation.
Who sits next at the throne at Old Trafford remains a rhetorical question for eager Manchester United fans as coach Ole Gunnar is kicked out of office.
Basketball, unusual as NBA superstar LeBron James turns the court into a bloody street fight. Effective from the 21st of December, anyone requesting in-person government services must be fully vaccinated and show proof of vaccination. Ministry of Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has said the services will include KRA services, education, immigration services, hospital and prison visitation, and TSA and port services, amongst others. All motorists will be fully vaccinated and carry verification at all times.
Have you been vaccinated? If not, you'll be denied access to in-person government services beginning December 21 this year. Health Secretary Mutahi Kagwe told a press conference that the government had resorted to the radical move to support its COVID-19 vaccination program to ensure that all Kenyans are safe from the pandemic.
Everybody seeking in-person government services should be fully vaccinated and proof of vaccination availed by December 21st, 2021. Such service will include but not limited to KRA services, education, immigration services, hospital and prison visitation, NTSA, and port services, among others.
Here is what Kenyans had to say.
As much as I do disagree, I do agree as well that for you to not procure the coronavirus disease, you must have vaccination because it's key. But then having a deadline which is so soon shouldn't be that well or that good for us as Kenyans, knowing that only 2%, about 2% of us have been vaccinated as a country, and it will bring in a rush and people will be so confused and more pressure will be put upon people. So for me, I don't agree that is.
Reporting for RU News, I'm Muthoni Moito.
The onset of the pandemic brought a lot of confusion and mayhem in many sectors, with the business sector being one of the most affected areas. Recently, Kenyan business owner made a sigh of relief when the president removed the dusk to dawn curfew. However, this was not the end of the troubles as the government made a strict conditions to be held up. Here is an insight into the life of a Kenyan business owner as they try to cope with the new normal. David Keegan reporting more on the story.
Today, we are here talking about COVID-19 restrictions and the effect of businesses on the COVID passports. Today, we're talking to Morris, a local businessman, who's going to tell us more about the story. Let's go.
Kwa majina ni Morris Ochwangi, mkaaji wa Bairais, mfanyabiashara hapa Riara University. Kwa biashara ile masharti ya serikali ndio tunafuata, hiyo ya kunawa, social distance na mask. Mtu akiingia afae mask, lakini akisaka social distance ndio tuweze control hiyo mambo ya corona. Kwa hiyo passport ya kuwa na COVID, passport ya kuwa kama umechanjwa na COVID si lazima. Kupewa hiyo vaccine ni kujitolea kwa mtu. Na mtu akitolea dungwe sawa. Hiyo passport si lazima juu itatiri vitu mingi. Tuseme kama hiyo wakianza kusema mambo ya passport, kuna vile tatiri juu wanasema mtu lazima ingie kama akanayo passport. So mimi nataka pesa ama nataka hiyo, mimi sitakuwa na haja na passport juu mimi nataka pesa itabidi ingie. So watu wajitolee wadungwe mambo ya hiyo vaccine, lakini mambo ya passport si lazima juu itatiri biashara.
Vaccination is not a must. It is voluntary, but it has a lot of importance. So before we call it a must, we are supposed to do a lot of sensitization, a lot of health messages. You lobby to make sure that people understand what is the importance of the vaccine. One thing I say, and it is very clear, under the health bill, we have the human rights, the patient's rights. It's very clear that a patient has the right to decline or accept any treatment. Where the conflicts may come in is where it comes to public interest about their safety. So before you call it mandatory, you need to weigh about the risk to the public, which one outweigh the other, and the patient's rights. Let me say, and I'll be very clear about this, the reason why there's a bit of discrepancy, even there's a court case that is going on, is because you are not supposed to be limited to government services because of the lack of vaccination. On the other hand, you should not be a risk to the public because you're not vaccinated or because you're exposed. Nevertheless, for any vaccination, not only COVID, if we're able to vaccinate 70% of the population, we have the possibility of getting herd immunity. Basically, the disease now become not as risky or easily spread as it is. So we are going to reduce the morbidity and the mortality that is brought about by the COVID-19.
Reporting live here in Kenya, Riara University.
This week, 2 of 3 men found guilty for the shooting of Malcolm X in 1965 have been exonerated, after the Netflix docuseries Who Killed Malcolm X publicized the gaps in evidence used to imprison them. Despite both men having an alibi and the authorities having access to evidence that pointed to their innocence, it took until now for their names to be cleared. Sandra Muturi reporting more on the story.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause.
Both reviled and celebrated charismatic preacher, Malcolm X was one of America's influential black leaders. Malcolm X was killed when black men opened fire inside a crowded ballroom in New York in February 1965. It was one of the most notorious murders of the civil rights era. 2 others, Mohammed Aziz and Aziz Islam, were convicted and sentenced to life in prison before being released on parole in the 1980s. For decades, historians have stuck on the case against them. More than half a century later, they are said to be exonerated following a 2-year independent investigation. It found that both the FBI and the New York Police Department had withheld key evidence that would likely to have led to the men's acquittal, including documents that pointed to other suspects. The review came as an explosive of Netflix documentary and new biography renewed interest in the case. The New York District Attorney said the pair did not get the justice they deserved and that his office would now move to vacate their wrongful convictions. Between them, the 2 men spent more than 4 decades behind bars, including years of solitary confinement. Just one of them is still alive. Representatives of the 83-year-old Mohammed Aziz says his exoneration means a lot to him and to his family. Reporting for RU News, I'm Sandra Muturi.
On to Riara University, where the institution is hosting its highly anticipated French Day. The event is open to students taking part in the French unit as well as the Riara community at large. Shahista Yassin is on the ground with live coverage on the story.
Thank you, Santa. As you can see, we are on location at Riara University. Today is French Day. Bonjour! Students are so excited because they get to showcase their talent, which is authentic French culture. They get to do dancing, poetry, and bring delicious food, which they made by themselves, by the way. Every student also dressed their best, showcasing authentic Parisian culture and fashion.
When we speak French, those of you who have been to France or French-speaking countries, you know that it's very nice out there, I can assure you. France is a good country. France is the place to go. And even when you are, leave alone French, when you have other talents, France is, I would say, the very best country in Europe to go to practice your talent, and not only to enjoy your talent, but also it becomes a profession. You can also become a professional footballer, a professional whatever it is, a professional artist. All those things, you'll find them in France. Don't be told about other countries. So learn French, get to know the French language, and once you get there, you'll realize that there are so many opportunities. I call it the land of opportunities.
As the French say, au revoir and merci beaucoup. Back to you in studio.
And after the break, here's Natal Narano with sports news.
Riara University really pushes for change and overall transformation and innovation.
And I know that Riara University is going to make my dreams come true.
The Riara University. Dream it. Realize it. Registration is ongoing.
My name is Natalie Narano and welcome to today's sports news. The rot in FKF has reached its limit as the whole cabinet is fired by CS Amina Mohamed. The report says that 550 million Kenyan shillings allocated to FKF was looted. The disbandment of FKF was followed by the arrest of its president, Nick Mondwa, who was arraigned in court on allegations of corruption but was released on a 4 million shillings bond. Now the FKF has a caretaker committee led by retired Judge Aaron Riara to run football activities in Kenya for the next 6 months. Collins Ekitela with more on the story.
Kenya disbanded its National Football Federation over corrupt allegations and said it may seek to prosecute any guilty officials. Sports Minister Amina Mohamed said the action was taken after a government investigation into FKF finances revealed it had failed to account for funds received from the government and other sponsors. The minister named a 15-member caretaker committee to run the federation's affairs until fresh elections are held in 6 months' time.
DCI, NIS and EACC carry out further investigations to establish the extent to which the misappropriation of funds in FKF may have occurred with a view to prosecuting those who may be found culpable. Second, the current officials of FKF be removed from office to pave way for further investigations pending conclusion. 3, a caretaker committee be appointed to manage the affairs of FKF for a period not exceeding 6 months. This has been successful in other jurisdictions in recent years, as you know. Countries such as Cameroon, Egypt, Ghana, and Chad, amongst others, have had caretaker committees in place. 4, a special audit of the books of accounts of FKF be carried out and subsequent frequent future audits be carried out as well. 5, the Government of Kenya to invoke Articles 17 and 58 of the FIFA Code of Ethics 2020 edition by informing FIFA Secretariat Investigation Chamber on the outcome of this inspection.
What's the way forward for FKF and its ex-president Nick Mwenda? Colin Sekitela reporting from Riara.
Manchester United have fired Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after a 4-1 defeat to Watford on Saturday. The club confirmed his firing with a statement on Sunday 21st, thanking him for his service. The hunt for the next manager is now on, with candidates like Mauricio Pochettino of PSG, Brendan Rodgers of Leicester, and Zinedine Zidane being tipped to take the hot seat. As of now, Michael Carrick is the caretaker manager, and he will lead the team for UEFA Champions League game against Villarreal on Tuesday 23rd, while the search for the next manager still continues.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean, what this club means to me, and what I wanted to achieve here. For the club, for the fans, for the players, for the staff, I wanted us to take the next step, to challenge for the league, to win trophies. And I only think it's right that it comes from the horse's mouth. I don't want to answer all them. There's going to be journalists asking me about interviews. No, I'm not going to do any interviews. I want to get it out there. I'm going to leave out the front door, and because I think everyone knows I've given everything for this club. The club means everything to me, and together we're a good match. But unfortunately, I couldn't get the results that we needed, and it's time for me to step aside.
LeBron James was ejected after blooding Detroit's Isaiah Stewart with a swipe to the face in the Los Angeles Lakers' 121-116 victory over the Pistons on Sunday night in Detroit. The NBA superstar was thrown out for just the second time in his career after striking Stewart in the face while the pair were battling for rebounding position. Stewart, who was cut above the right eye, tried to confront James. That led to a scrum of players from both teams coming together, with several coaches and security people also joining the fray as the Piston player repeatedly tried to get back at James. Following a video review, James was then slapped with a flagrant foul 2 and sent to the locker room. Stewart was handed 2 technical fouls and thrown out, and the Lakers guard Russell Westbrook was called for a technical foul. James finished with 10 points and 5 assists. Lakers coach Frank Vogel said he was relieved to see that it didn't escalate further.
What will happen is, there's a box out on the free throw line. His elbow got kind of high, got me, if you watch the film, it got me off balance a little bit. And his elbow lifted my arm here, and I basically tried to swim down on him, on his arm. And when I swam down on his arm, he got off balance, and the left side of my hand, grazed his face, and I knew right away. So I knew right away I had caught some part of his head. So I went over to apologize to him, and obviously, you guys see what happened after that. But definitely accidental. Just like the play last night on Russ, accidental hit in the mouth, just like Sabonis play tonight. Accidental hit to the eye. Definitely I'm not that type of player. So I hate to see that. what escalated after that. I didn't think it warranted. I thought it warranted an ejection because of what happened after that. You know, having me probably still in the game and the excitement from the fans. What could possibly happen after that, obviously, but a suspension, I didn't think it was warranted, but the league made that call, and we are there.
You know, I watched the film. You know, and me personally, you know, like I said, I didn't feel like it was an accident. But it's my last time addressing it. You know, my main focus right now is on my team and my teammates, getting back to playing basketball. I'm not going to let that define who I am. You know, I'm going to let, you know, what Detroit drafted me for define who I am and, you know, the way I play basketball. So I don't want to address that no more. You know, and my main focus is on helping my teammates and coaches.
And that's all the time we had today for sports news. Until next time, Natalie Narano.